war and the civil rights movement together as something that people ought to know about? And
yes.
How would you tie those two events together?
Well, they were both fought with whites and blacks. Now, the civil rights movement, it was saying that the white people were against the black people. And in the Civil War, the people, they all wanted to be together, but the white people, they couldn't stand that, so they fought to try to kill as many black people or free men as they could.
And of course, all of that violence and everything simply led to freedom for the Africans in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, and the establishment of the NAACP.
Yes.
How do you think Dr. King felt about the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People?
I think Dr. King would be very proud of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, because they were stating everything that Martin Luther King dreamed of, everything that he hoped of, everything that he had a dream about. All the things that were in his dream were just scooped up and placed into the hands of the NAACP.
And so in a real sense, the NAACP is carrying on the tradition of Dr. Martin Luther King, and the tradition of not only Africans, but the tradition of blacks and whites working together. I understand that was one of the strange things about this NAACP organization. Why don't you say something about the interracial relationships that this organization is?
Well, the NAACP started out with 32 people, and you may not know this, but some of those people were actually white men. There was one man named Henry who was born in 1836. He basically stated that he was one of the CEOs of the NAACP, and yes, he was white, because he thought that slavery and that wasn't really fair to anybody, because I'm sure that no white person would want to be slaves and be owned by a black person, because they would feel as if they didn't have to do that. And if it turned on the white people, then they would see how the black people put up with all that, and they would see how the black people felt.
And so there's a lesson in terms of trying to work together and to work against separation and segregation. And you would always be in favor of working against separation and segregation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I would.
You believe the equality of everybody, is men, women, races, and et cetera. Is that what is that the position that you're taking now, talking to me here?
Yes, it is.
Speak to that then. I mean, do you think that that's a godly kind of position, or that that's what God would have us to do?
I think God is very proud of what all those people stood up for, like for Coretta Scott King, Rosa Parks, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, MLK, Malcolm X. He would be proud of them because they stood up for what they believed in, and they stood up for their 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
And so there's a long train of individuals that go way back into the history of the United States of America that opposed slavery, you believe, and I think you've indicated that on a number of occasions, talking about some of the abolitionists and Sojourner Truth and other individuals. And so these individuals all opposed slavery, and they all favored the NAACP, and you believe that the NAACP, even though it was established in 1909, is still an organization that young people like yourself ought to support. Why should they support such an organization?
Because the NAACP wanted to give black people what they deserve, and they wanted to give them the rights that every black person dreamed of. Not just Martin Luther King had a dream, but all black people had a dream of being treated equally one day and being the same as a white person would have been treated.
And in closing, making some closing statements in reference to that, you believe that more people should be more concerned about the topics that we're talking about here today, and that people your age ought to be especially concerned about it. Why should they be concerned about it?
Because it's a part of their heritage. Now, they can learn about the Civil War, and it may not be a part of their heritage, but it's still a part of history, and all black people should learn about the people who tormented them and the people who stood up for them. They should all learn about it, because I feel they believe to know the truth.
Okay, and very good. And I certainly thank that you for that kind of information today, Alana. And I believe that in a real sense, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People can live and continue to do the things that it has already done. And I just want to thank you for bringing that information by. And I want to encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and
Good morning.
morning.